there are a lot more cycles in nature than just carbon and oxygen. So today we're going to be talking about two other cycles. The first one is the nitrogen cycle. Now, nitrogen is important in making molecules such as proteins. Now, proteins run your cells. Every single cellular process that happens in your body, in any cell, is started and stopped by proteins telling the processes to start and stop. So proteins are really important, and so that's why nitrogen is very important to living things. The atmosphere is 78% nitrogen. So as you breathe in, 78% nitrogen out here, but you can't get it. When you breathe in 78% nitrogen, you breathe out 78% nitrogen. Your body can't do anything with that. And so, lightning and certain bacteria help us out because they're able to get the nitrogen out of the atmosphere and actually get it into the soil. Right? That process is called nitrogen fixation because it fixes the nitrogen down into the soil. All right? And so these bacteria that can do it are called nitrogen fixing bacteria. And again, lightning strikes are able to do it also. Now, once that nitrogen gets into the soil, plants can get it. They actually pull the nitrogen in through their roots. So the roots can now soak up the nitrogen, and once they soak up the nitrogen, they can use that nitrogen as they grow. They put it into their plant bodies, and so the nitrogen is now available. And of course, they will use it to make their proteins, and then when animals eat the plants, they get those proteins and that nitrogen. And then when animals use the bathroom, okay, they're going to return the nitrogen to the soil. And when organisms die and they decompose, that nitrogen returns to the soil. So once it's pulled out of the atmosphere, a lot of it will stay in use. Now, some of it goes back to the atmosphere in different ways, but this is the main part of the cycle that we want to look at. So here's your lightning pushing it into the soil. Here are your nitrogen-fixing bacteria in the roots of plants pulling it down. And once it's in the soil, it goes into the plants. The plants use it. Animals eat the plants. They use it. And then feces and urine puts it back into the soil, and when the plants and animals die, it also goes back into the soil. All right, and so now it's back into this little circle right here, this circuit. So there's that cycle. All right, now the water cycle, you did this in middle school. I think you did it in 6th grade when you talked about rain and all. Okay, you also did it in 5th grade probably. So hopefully this is just a little bit of a refresher. Water evaporates from the Earth's surface, okay, so it turns into vapor and goes up into the atmosphere. When it's up in the atmosphere, before we talk about that, it can also leave plants through transpiration. Plants, you can kind of think of it like plants sweating. They don't actually sweat, but water vapor leaves out of plant leaves and stuff. It leaves the plants, so that's transpiration. So again, that's vapor going up into the atmosphere. And then once it's in the atmosphere, it turns back into liquid through condensation. So it's going to make clouds. When the clouds get heavy enough with liquid water, okay, of course water is going to fall back to the earth as precipitation. And now that's going to replenish the fresh water of the earth. So transpiration out of plants sends it up. Evaporation out of lakes, rivers, streams, puddles on the street. Evaporation sends it up. Gets up into the atmosphere, and condensation turns it into clouds. The clouds get heavy enough with liquid water. Precipitation sends it back to earth. Okay, and then runoff will send it back into bodies of water again. Okay? Hopefully you didn't need much on that one. It's pretty much just a review.